And my people like you, your people like you, your people like me, my people be another good evening in the evening too. In other words, hi. How's everybody doing? Good. All right. How many 7-year-olds have we got here tonight? 0. How many 8-year-olds do we have here tonight?
Love it.
All right.
I'm 9.
Well, we may be able to tell a little older stories tonight. Tell one or two. I've had a request from Mr. Fox. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Michael Badhair. I tell traditional Appalachian folk tales. There's all kinds of these old stories. Adventure stories, love stories. Stories about foolish men, foolish women, foolish girls, foolish boys, singing stories. But I think I'm going to start out today with an adventure story. And it goes, let's see, I don't know what I'm going to tell yet. Never can tell till I look people in the eye. I don't know. I have to think about this a second. Whether I'm going to tell about my floating boat or how I fixed my boat, or whether I'm going to tell about Wiley and the Hairy Man, or... Yeah, have you never heard that one?
I know that story.
Wow, that's a good one. Wiley, see now Wiley, he grew up near where I did in Boone, up in Boone, North Carolina. He grew up right there in the swag of Snake Mountain. Him and his mama lived there. And Wiley's mama, she was what in those days and times they called a conjure woman. She did magic, but she didn't do bad magic. She did good magic. She helped people. See, there's another fella in them woods, he did bad magic. As a matter of fact, he's what happened to Wiley's daddy. And they called him the Hairy Man. Now, one day Wiley's mama called, she said, Wiley. And Wiley, he come running, he said, yeah, Mama. She said, Wiley, I want you to go pick me some berries. He said, okay, Mama, I will. She said, but now don't you take them old dogs of yours with you. I know you. If you take your dogs, you'll piddle and play, get half the berries picked in twice the time. Wiley heard Daddy said, Ba, ba, ba. If I don't take my dogs with me, that old hairy man might get me. My dogs don't think he's afraid of. She said, oh, Wiley, here. And she got a glass of milk, and she put it on the table, and she reached up above it, and she whoop, conjured it. She said, there now, Wiley, see that glass of milk? If it turns red, I'll know that hairy man's after you. I'll go outside and untie them dogs, and they'll come run that old hairy man off. Wiley said, ba-ba-ba. She said, now, Wiley. So Wiley had to go. He tied them dogs up and got a basket his mama had made, and he went down to the berry patch, and he sat down on a stump and went picking blackberries. He picked. Oh, he picked. Till sure enough, he picked that basket twice as full of berries in half the time. Not because he was not playing with his dogs, but because he scared to death that old hairy man. Well, he just got his basket plumb full of berries, and he was about to pick it up and go home when Wiley heard a stick behind him in the woods go snap. Wiley heard that, he went climbing up a tree like a squirrel. Sat down on the limb, turned around and looked down, and standing right there at the foot of his tree was a hairy man. And that hairy man looked up and he said, hello, Wiley. And Wiley, he looked down and he said, hello. Hello, Mr. Hairy Man. No. What are you doing? That old hairy man said, looking for something to eat, Wiley. Wiley said, you want some berries? Hairy man said, no berries, Wiley. but I might cook and eat you. And back home, that glass of milk turned blood red. Wiley's mama see that, she went running outside, untied them dogs. Now, let me tell you something. There was one thing in this world them dogs loved very best of all, and you know what that was? Wiley. Time they seed Wiley, or time they got free, every one of them dogs took a big sniff on the air. They said, took a sniff on the ground, figured out which way Wiley had gone, and down the road them dogs went. As they went running down the road, they went hollering for Wiley every step. They said, oh, 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 oh. They's all beagle dogs, you know. Now, way off down the road, that old hairy man, he heard, oh, oh. One thing he was scared of, and what was that? Dogs. Time he heard them dogs, that old hairy man said, uh-oh. Dogs, Wiley. I got to go. I'll get you later. And about that time, them dogs run around that curve, spied that hairy man. What you reckon them dogs said when they saw that hairy man?
All right.
Them dogs chased that hairy man 37 miles. Yep, 37 miles. Wiley jumped down out of that tree, picked up his basket full of berries. He went home, set that basket down, told his mama what happened. She said, Wiley, looky there. You got that basket plumb full of berries, and in half the time, too, because you wasn't playing with them old dogs. Big old pretty berries, too. That worked real well. We'll just put you doing same thing again tomorrow. Wiley said, Mama. She said, now, Wiley. So Wiley had to go. That next day, he tied up his dogs, and he took his basket. He sat on the same stump, and put his basket down, and reached up to pick his first berry, and that's when he heard another stick behind him in the woods go, snap! And up that tree he went again. He sat on that limb, looked down, you know who he saw. And the hairy man said, hello, Wiley. I'm still hungry. And back home, that glass of milk turned blood red. The only problem was Wiley's mama, she gone out to get some water to do the wash, and there wasn't anybody there to see that glass of milk turn red, so that meant there wasn't anybody there to turn them dogs loose. Well, Wiley, he waited and he listened, but his dogs never come. And then he looked down and he saw that hairy man reach up and grab that tree like he's going to start climbing. And Wiley knew he was in trouble. He said, uh-oh. Oh, no. I'm Mr. Hairy Man. Oh, no. Mr. Hairy Man. Mr. Hairy Man! Finally, that hairy man backed up the tree and said, what, Wiley? Wiley said, Mr. Hairy Man, I understand you're pretty good at conjuring. That old hairy man said, I'm the best conjurer in the forest, Wiley. Wiley said, I bet you can't make rope appear everywhere. That old hairy man didn't even slow down. He threw his arms out to the side, threw his head back. He said, rope, rope, lots of rope. And all of a sudden there's rope everywhere as far as you could see, in the trees and the bushes and laying in the ground. And Wiley, he grabbed one of them ropes in that tree he was in like he's going to swing out of it and get away. He said, I'm going to get away now, Mr. Hairy Man. Unless you can make a rope everywhere disappear. And that old hairy man said, rope everywhere disappear. And all that rope he conjured disappeared. And the rope holding up Wiley's pants disappeared. And the rope holding Wiley's dogs at his house, it disappeared too. Time that rope disappeared, them dogs realized they was free. Down the road they come, and what'd they say as they come running down the road? Yeah, they scared the cat. Daddy Hairy Man heard them dogs. He said, "Dogs, Wiley, dogs. I'll get you yet. You just wait and see. I'll get you yet." And this time them old dogs chased that hairy man 57 miles.
Oh my goodness.
And Wiley, he jumped down out of that tree, grabbed up that basket in one hand, held up his pants with the other, and went running home. Set that basket down. Thought this mama what happened. Oh, she said, "Wiley. Oh, I was wrong. I should never sent you out without your dog. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again either." But Wiley, you've tricked that hairy man twice in a row. That's pretty good. You know, if we trick him 3 times in a row, he can't bother us anymore. He has to leave us alone. That's the way the magic works. This is what we'll do. And she went to whispering in Wiley's ear. But that very night, about 2:30 in the morning, the front door of the cabin opened up. And in the door walked the hairy man. He looked around, and there was Wiley's mama asleep in the rocking chair in front of the fireplace. And there was Wiley in the bed with the covers pulled plumb up over top of his head. That old hairy man, he watched Wiley's mama. He got back over that bed, put his hand underneath that quilt, jerked Wiley out from under them covers, and swallowed Wiley whole. But all of a sudden, Wiley jumped out of the loft. And Wiley's mama jumped up out of the rocking chair, and they both said, "Hello, Mr. Hairy Man." That hairy man seen Wiley. He said, "Oh, hello, Wiley. I thought I ate you. What did I eat?" Wiley said, "Well, you ate a baby doll full of very hot rocks." Hot rock. My tummy. Oh, that's 3. Goodbye, Wiley. Never see you, never no more. Oh, and out the door he went, sure enough. That was the very last time Wiley or his mama was ever bothered by the hairy man. And last I heard, they lived happily ever after. Thank you. Well, guys, let's talk just a little bit. Why do you think they told stories in the old days? What do you think?
To get points across and help people understand why they should do something that they don't want to do.
So they taught lessons, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think?
Entertain other people.
Entertain. Is that what you were going to say? Didn't have any TV in them days, did they?
Nope.
No TV. No Nintendo. No radio. No radio, you know, Didn't even have Sega. You guys don't even know what Sega is. The very first game program was Sega.
Yep, I know.
Yep.
Yeah,
So of course, storytelling was a way of entertaining, way of teaching lessons. And you got to remember, no electricity at all, so no electric lights, no refrigerator. A lot of times there were no stores around. You even had to make your own toys. And I brought some old-timey toys today. Thought y'all get a kick out of it. Who wants to help me with them? Come on up. Come on up. One more. Come on up. I'm going to give you the hard one. That one's tough. Here, you stand over there. You stand over here. Unroll them, guys, so that the thing's out. Scoot over a little bit so he's got some room. You scoot over. Yours is the hardest one. The idea behind this one is to get that little round thing on that little pointy man's head. And I'm going to let you do it. The trick is you can only use one hand. Okay, so we're going to have a race. You start. Now you two guys, this one's a little easier. You got to get the ball in the cup. Once again, you only use one hand. So you guys start. Scoot over a little bit. Scoot over a little bit. Scoot over a little bit. I don't want you to, don't hit yourself in the head. And more importantly, don't hit me in the head. Yeah, very good. Give him a hand. All right, let's go again. One more race. 1, 2, 3, go. I've had a little practice. Give him a hand. Yay. Good job, guys. Very good, very good. Here, let me have them. Good job. I got another one I need some help with. Come on up, come on up. You stand right there. You come over here. All right. I'm glad you told me that. Okay, put these out to the sides like this. Now put your hands together just a little bit and wind it up.
Oh, I know what this is.
And you wind it, you wind it, you wind it, and you wind it, and you wind it, and you wind it. And when it's wound, you pull it and let go. Pull it and let go.
I love those.
This is called a buzzsaw.
Don't hit yourself in the face.
Yeah, don't hit me in the face.
Oh, one is a lot.
Yeah, this is an old piece of technology. Actually, they used to use them to do lathe woods with. You'd use your finger or your foot to go round and round with it. Did you get it going?
You have to pull in again.
Here, come here.
Yeah, you have to pull in and out.
Let me have that. Turn around. Here, step back. Grab that. Grab it. And you pull it and let it go. Right, you got to hold on to it. Here, let's do one for you. Yo, you got yours going. Give him a hand. All right. Good job. Give them both hands. Very well done. I need another volunteer. Won't you come up? Now I got one right here. This is an old toy. Come stand right here. You got to be close for this one. The idea behind this toy is to make this top paddle fall all the way to the bottom without letting go of it or anything. And notice that my hand never leaves my wrist when I do this.
How in the world do you do that? I love these. I have one.
Here, you try it. Here, put your hand just like that. No, like that, yeah. Now turn it down.
Down?
Oh, you broke it. Oh, I forgot to do that. You got to blow on it. It's the magic. All right, do it again. Here, use this hand. It'll be easier. Turn it down. The other way. See? Do it. Now come back up with it. Pull it. Turn it back up. No. Yeah.
You got to match the lines. Broke it again.
Give her a hand. That's called a Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder has been a toy for many, many, many long years. It was in the Old Testament, as a matter of fact.
I have like 10 of them.
I got another one I need some help with. Who's going to help me with this one? Come on, the young lady right back there. Yeah, come on up. Yeah, come on up. Yeah. What's it made out of? So now think about it. Was wood something you could find around you in nature in the old days? Made it simple. Once you take your hand, put it out like this. Yeah, use this one. Okay. Okay? Now, this is what they called in the old days a magic balance. When they called this in the old days a magic magic balance and stick. It was hard to make this. It was rough. It was tough. It took. Took me 35 or 40 seconds to make this old toy. But because of the way I have carved it, I can take it and I can put it right out here on this young lady's finger, just like this, because of the way it's carved, it'll stay right. Thank you, sir. Magic balancing stick. I can put it right out here on the end of her finger, just like this, and because it's the way it's carved, it'll stay right there.
She broke it.
You
broke it!
hold just one finger out. Hold this one out. Yeah, just like that. I'm going to have to tie it to her finger. I'm going to take this piece of leather and tie it to her finger, and I guarantee you it'll stay this time.
Whoa. Take the leather off.
It's because of the weight on the top.
How'd you do that? Give her a hand. She's a good sport. You did good, sweetheart. Thank you. Look at the way the belt hangs back that direction. Now it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but because the weight down here is on that side of this point, it changes the center of balance, center of gravity, down to the end of the stick. There's a toy that came out a few years back. It's a bird with its wings out, and you stick your finger under the beak.
I have one of those.
Yep, and it bounces.
It has a little weight at the top of it.
New version of this very old toy. I got one more I want to show you. Put your hands down. You guys in the back 5 rows or so, if you want to stand up, you can see this a little better. This is a dancing man, Dancing Dan Lumberjack. The idea behind this guy is to get him to dance, and he dances an old-timey dance called the clogger, a buck and wing. Now, in old days, they did a lot of dancing. Squares, reels, rounds, contras. March dances, for instance, were just for men. And so you could dance with the dancing man and learn dances and still participate. He also offered a second thing. He offered rhythm for the music. Let me show you how he works. To get his arms to go, you wiggle the stick. And to get his feet to go, you knock on the board and time to the music. Listen for the rhythm. Oh, fare thee well, oh, Joe Clark, oh, fare thee well, I cry. Fare thee well, oh, Joe Clark, I think I'm gonna die. I went down to Joe's house and never been there before. He slept on a feather bed and I slept on the floor. Oh, fare thee well, oh, Joe Clark, oh, fare thee well, I say. Fare thee well, oh, Joe Clark, I think I'm going away. Think I'm going away. Think I'm going away. Just like that. And of course, it wasn't all fun and games. You guys probably know what this is. It's a quilt square. That's exactly what it is. Somebody took all the old shirts that were all beat up and started cutting them up and made this pretty little maple leaf pattern here. Put it together. They'd take a bunch of these different ones, make a bunch of squares like this, put a bunch of them together this way, a bunch of them together this way, put cotton in the middle of them. These, a lot of times on the back, were old wheat sacks that they would cut apart and dye and make something that was pretty to keep you warm in the middle of winter. My mom and grandmother used to make these by the dozens. So, and the stories, of course, were a part of that. And there's all kinds of these old stories. How many of y'all were here last session besides the okay, so just a couple of you were here last session, is that right? You live here. All right, so maybe I might tell some of the same stories I told last session, I don't know. Oh no, that was maybe session 4 last. Yeah. How about we tell... No, not going to tell Mr. Fox tonight. Because I had a request not to. How about how I broke my boat? Well, all right, let's do that one. So, now, you know, when I was much, much younger, I was walking through the woods one day, And right out of a tree on my head fell a limb. It whacked me on the head. I picked it up and it was the prettiest S-shaped piece of wood. And it was gorgeous. It was just a beautiful piece of wood. And I got to thinking about, well, what could I do with it? And so I got to looking and thinking, and it reminded me of the bow of a boat. And so I made myself a nice little boat. And I loved fish, so it was just perfect thing. And it was gorgeous. Had a pretty little, thing on the end of it. And I did a little fish head out there and carved it out and made it in the bow of my boat. And I love that boat. She was yar. She'd go fast, she'd go slow, she'd never, you could just about stand on the gunnel and it wouldn't even tip over. Nice heavy boat you could fish out of. And I fished and fished and fished till one day there came a big storm, like some of the storms we've had this summer, and the wind was blowing so hard and it blew over and blew that boat right against a rock as I was coming into the shore, and it busted the bow of my boat. Just hurt my feelings something awful. I didn't know what to do about it. And so I decided right then and there I was going to find me another S-shaped piece of wood in the woods somewhere and fix my boat. So I took off that very next morning, and off in the woods I went hunting. And I went and I went and I went. And some of y'all heard me talk about the end of the world. That's the direction I went. It's over toward the end of the world. That's a big mountain over here near Marion, south of Marion. Anyway, I got way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was getting plumb dark. And I got thinking, well, now I could go home and start in another direction, or I could keep going this way. And I thought, well, I'm just going to keep going. I can sleep out in the woods. And I was walking along, and the words got thicker and thicker till finally they got so thick that I was having a hard time getting through. And finally, off in the distance, I saw a huge tree. And there was a light coming out of that tree. And just as it got completely dark, I got up to that tree. And lo and behold, it had windows in it. And it had a big door. And I'd never seen a big tree that had a house in it, so I went up and knocked on the door. And that's when I heard it for the first time. It went, I knew what that was. But the door opened up. And there, standing in the doorway, was an old woman, all bent over. Had a great long nose that went back and forth when she talked. Had a hood around her face, and when it came all the way down to the floor, and great long sleeves, and gnarled hands with great long fingernails. She said, yes, can I help you? And I said, well, I was sort of hoping that maybe I might, find a place out of the dew to spend the night. And I'm looking for, she said, come in. So I came in and I looked around, and she had a table that had been carved out of the middle of that tree. And benches on either side of it that were carved out of the floor there. And she said, sit down. And I looked around, and there was a fireplace in the side of the tree. She said, tell me your story. And I started talking about my boat and how I'd broken the bow. And she went over to the fireplace, and I sort of watched her. And there was a huge cauldron there, sort of green goop in it going blub, 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 blub. And she says, well, yes, looking for a piece of wood, huh? Shaped like an S, Are you hungry? And I said, well, yeah, a little bit. She said, oh, good. And she got her a wooden bowl and a great big wooden ladle, and she took some of that green goop out of that cauldron and went blop into that. And she brought it over, and as she walked, I realized she made that noise I'd first heard. And she walked over, and she sat that bowl of green goop down in front of me. She said, here's a spoon. And she gave me a wooden spoon, and she said, go ahead and eat. I said, well, thank you. And I looked at it. It looked like it had leaves and mushrooms and maybe some wild onions, and it was green. So I said, well, she said, eat it. So I took my spoon and I tried it, and man, it was pretty good. So I got some more, and the more I ate, the better it got. She said, oh good. And she went back over to the fireplace, and as she walked over, once again, I noticed as she walked, she went, and she got over there and she opened a door on the fireplace I hadn't seen, and pulled out a loaf of bread, cut me a big slice out of it, and put some butter on it, and laid that in front of me. And I started eating the bread and eating the green goop. Man, I was doing really great. That was fantastic. I ate all the green goop, and she gave me another bowl full, and we were just talking. It was just like we'd known each other forever. And that's when I heard from behind me. And I looked around, and there was a second old lady all bent over. Great long fingers with long fingernails and a great long nose. Except when she talked, her nose didn't go back and forth like this. It went round in a circle. And she said, oh boy, company! And she walked over to me, and I said, oh, hello. And then I heard from the other side, and there was a third lady, and she was coming toward me, all bent over with her great long nose, and hers didn't go back and forth. It didn't go in a circle. It went up and down like this when she talked. And she said, oh boy, company! And they all converged on me. And they all reached toward me, and I didn't know quite what was going to happen. And they reached down underneath the table, and they pulled out a guitar and a banjo and a fiddle, and they started playing music. And they were good. And they started singing these old songs that I remember my grandmother had sang when I was just a little kid. It was just wonderful. And they started singing, and I started telling stories, and we were trading back and forth. And